Hello, hello. I am Cassie Brown, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the Amplify My Impact podcast. After years of consulting and managing programs for some of the top entrepreneurs, CEOs, and marketers in the industry, I am on a mission to expand our contribution, to grow, scale, and create more so we can do and give more. This podcast celebrates entrepreneurs who are boldly stepping up to own their calling, expand their influence, and stretch outside their comfort zone, who've decided to stop playing it small, pick up the mantle of contribution, and serve at a higher level, to lead by example and light the way for others. If that's you, then get ready to amplify. There's a fire that burns inside your soul, and we're going to ignite it into a roaring blaze of unstoppable momentum. Hey guys, Cassie Brown here. Welcome back to Amplify My Impact, and I am with one of my favorite people on planet Earth. I am so thrilled to introduce him to you guys. Don Mamone is a fellow relationship marketer, just lover at heart. He's an incredible father, photographer, artist, and he's transitioning into a movement called People First, Then Profits. He publishes on YouTube, has a podcast, and is building a following on Facebook to rally the community to just step forward and strive to give back, not only with what he has learned over the years, but to help them achieve it faster. Our biggest connection is that we are both catalysts, and we have a heart for others to make sure that they can endure, they can make it through, and that they can achieve their dreams, to also touch other people and encourage them to be part of the huge contribution and ripple effect. So Don, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Please fill in the gaps for anything that I missed on that introduction. And I cannot wait to dive in with you and just geek out on relationship marketing, treating people like people, and what it really means to be a catalyst.
Well, that is probably one of the best lead-ins I've ever had happen. So thank you for that, Cassie. You've set the bar really high. So thanks for adding the pressure. I appreciate it. I'm going to work out my shoulder muscles real quick so that we can carry the load. Thank you for that. It is an honor to be here. This is one of my very first podcast interviews. So thank you for bringing me on today. I am at my core a relationship marketer, which is funny because I came upon it in a sort of weird way, in that when I heard relationship marketer, I didn't like it at first. And when I was working with my content strategist, she's like, I want you to read a few articles about what relationship marketing truly is. And when I finished, I literally had sort of tears in my eyes, thinking that I almost passed it over. And it's at my core, the belief that if you put people first, the profit will come. And I really try to highlight the fact that it's not a correlative relationship, to get scientific and super nerdy. You said we're going to geek out about it, so let's geek out about it. It's not a correlative relationship, it's causal. If you put people first, then by intrinsic definition, the profit's going to come.
Yeah. I was so thrilled when we first met, and I feel like we connected right away. Not only because you're an incredible photographer and artist, but my background is in photography, but just watching you work with the joy that is in your heart and the way that you communicate with those that you're working with. And it's not just the ones who hired you, but it's at every single level. And that is what I respect most about so many people who put people first. It's the staff, it's the guests, it's the whole experience as an ecosystem is just as important as what the final product is, which, yours is those beautiful pictures and now helping other people transition. And I know you do live events and all of that, but I just instantly connected with that because, like, my own background in wedding photography, that was like, you almost, even though we're framing things, right? We're focusing on small little things and we're cutting out what doesn't really need to be in that image at that moment, but we're also seeing the big picture. Mm-hmm. And I love that analogy on so many levels, because it's not just for photography, it's for business, and the way that you see what people need before they even realize it. That is a true skill set. And I just love that about you. So can you share a little bit about, it takes a special type of person to really be that aware,
sure,
fully aware of every single micro level of their environment.
Well, I'll tell you, thank you for all those kind words. It's humbling to me. But, as a hospitality veteran, I spent 10 years. So many years ago, it's hard to say because it makes me feel dated. But I started my career in hospitality. One day out of college, I was able to gain entry into a hotel in Santa Barbara, California. And at that time, I felt like it was just a really good fit for me as I decided what to do. I was a communications major, but this was a great opportunity, obviously, with Santa Barbara being a tourist area. And I have to tell you that although it felt like a good fit and I was really excited about the job, I had no idea how it would shape my future, because if there's one thing you can say about hospitality in general, people that are in that industry are servants at heart. If you've ever stayed at a hotel, which I'm sure you have, you know that the front desk staff, the banquets team, the housekeeping team, they all are truly there and they have a servant's heart. And it's about anticipating needs. Everything that you do is about customer satisfaction, client loyalty, all those types of things. And so for 10 years, having dedicated my life to that, and I like to point out that I was in the conference services side of things. So the conferences we now photograph were under my charge, and the team members that I would assemble to execute well, to drive client satisfaction and loyalty. And so for 10 years, that was my whole world and my whole universe. And when it sort of abruptly changed and I moved to the corporate office and then sort of working my way out of hospitality, it was remarkable to me how quickly I started using those things I learned on the front lines of hospitality to build a business, and how I found it was different than everybody else. And the difference was all of my key performance indicators in my hospitality world were things like client loyalty, client satisfaction. Sure, there was incremental revenue growth where we were helping them understand that they could bring in entertainment or whatnot, but it was never about sales or revenue generation. And so when I started a business, I didn't realize it at the time, but all of my key performance indicators were, is this client happy? Will they come back? Would they recommend me to somebody else? And people would ask me questions about sort of, what's your conversion rate? What are your revenue numbers? And I would say, well, I'm sure I could figure that out for you, but it wasn't top of mind. And it served me really well. And that's how I built my business. And so for probably the first 5 to 6 years, that was just running a business. And then I just had people start asking me, Cassie, how did you create this reputation? How is it that people are so loyal to you? It's unbelievable how many photographers are in this town, Don. How do you compete when there's so many other photographers? And that's what it really came back to. And so for a number of years, I was growing it organically, and people just kept asking that question. Like you said, how is it that you're creating these things? And at the time I didn't know it. And now I do, that it was all about relationship marketing. It was all about taking care of people. And to your point, at every level, not just a customer. It's relationship marketing, which means everybody that's on the scene, everybody that's in the room, if you can help anticipate needs and take care of those people, they're going to remember that. And the how you do what you do is just, if not more important than what you're actually doing.
Yeah, I love that. It's so crazy how similar our journeys are in that respect, because that is exactly how I transitioned into sort of like that consulting first, figuring out, diving more into social media marketing and understanding, like, to close the gap and to see how it aligned to help relationship marketing. Because sometimes people will find themselves in two different schools of thought where, it's only in person or only online. And I think that's where the true power really is with the combining of those efforts. Because if you treat people online like real people, like you would and someone who was sitting across from the table at you, you will shock the heck out of them because you took the time to pay attention to what they need. So you take that same level of awareness and you put it online, and instead of only messaging something when you need something from them, you can send them a message and be like, congratulations on your new book. That's amazing. I can't wait till it comes out. Can you send me the link when it's ready? And genuinely mean that, right? And build up that relationship, because it's one day they will remember you. And one day you may need to reach out for them and be like, wait, who did you use for copywriting? Or who did you use for your ghostwriter? Or who did you use for publishing? And I think that is the one thing that relationship marketing people only are looking at, that revenue generation, right? So if our conversation today is not going to result in $1,000 sale that immediately goes to my revenue spreadsheet, maybe it's not worth my time. And that is wrong. That is the wrong approach to take, because you just don't know. You never know what doors are going to open up. And it's not that you're doing that for a door to open up in 10 years. You are just genuinely showing up and serving, and you're creating your own momentum in that framework. So I love that. And from photographer to photographer, I will say it is hard. There's a ton of competition. I was the same, and they were asking, because it would start with the weddings, and then it would be maternity, and then it would be family. And I had sub clients like 8, 9, almost 10 years. Yep. And that is relationship marketing.
And it's such a compliment, right? So these people bring you along. So when it came to the social events, and now even in corporate world, the opportunity to create a legacy for people, whether it be on the social front or the corporate front, you and I can also share not only in the relationship marketing and the catalyst, but one of how our spheres came together was through Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels. When Emily and I look back on, and I have so many anecdotes from that experience, but when we look back on Russell's first event that we photographed in Dallas with 1,500 people, and we were excited about it at that point. And then we flash forward 4 years later, and we've done every conference since, and now there's 5,000 people, and it's a day longer, and it's like you see the production that's put into that, right? And the investment they're making, and you look back and you get to say, and it's so humbling for us because being with an internet marketing team, we get to see our photos being used all the time. I'm sure that our other clients use them for annual reports and all kinds of other reasons, but we literally get to see them as soon as we publish them, they're using them. And I look back on that and I think, what an amazing opportunity to be a part of this, to create a legacy for them. And when they appreciate both the final product and, to your point, the experience to get them, I mean, that's when things are firing on all cylinders. And that's the photography side of it. And when I look at the business building side of it, one of the things you said, like competition, how do I compete? And I'm confident that this is something you did because of your success. You have to get rid of the saturation in the marketplace by creating a differentiation that is undeniably you, right? We wanted clients to look at us and say, oh, I mean, yeah, you can hire a photographer if you want, but we're going to hire the Mamones because there's only one of us, right? And so if you can figure out what it is it's about you that is entirely unique, it's no longer you're trying to swim through a sea of photographers. You rise to the top and people are like, you really don't want just a photographer. You want these photographers. So that was something we learned and something that we really hold on to. And I share with other people because it's not an easy process, Cassie. I tell people to dig deep and they kind of give me something that's very special, but it's special and shared by everybody. My favorite kind of, when you're in the wedding space, people are like, I just love love. You're like, yes. And so do all the other wedding photographers, or they would be doing fashion or commercial, right? And so they have to dig deeper and find out, where does that love come from? And that's challenging. It's almost like therapy. They have to go through and dig really deep, but that will sustain you, that will establish you and sustain you for many years.
Yeah, I love that you said that you have to dig deep, because that was I realized in photography a lot faster and kind of stepped into it than I did with consulting and business. Because with photography, especially wedding photography, it was such a personal experience. This is the day little girls dream about, you know? So not only is there a ton of pressure, but there's also opportunities where people like collapse under those pressures. And I loved being like the calm in the room, the one that prayed with the bride before she walked down the aisle, the one that made sure the cake would be ready to cut, or the best man was ready to go and he wasn't going to be a jackass during all of I was the one that ran interference to make sure that experience matched as closely as possible to those dreams, but also the reality of this is just the beginning of the rest of their lives. So no matter what happens today, they're going to get married. And honestly, today's the easiest day of the rest of their lives because they've got a lot of other things to figure out besides, with communications and just marriage in general. And that was really, for me as a mission, that was really easy for me to step into. Whereas with consulting and business, I danced around the relationship marketing for the longest time because I let the industry tell me what what they thought was important and tried to align with that instead of totally leaning in right off the bat to what I thought was important, which is the relationship marketing, the building for impact, the making sure that if you are going to grow, you're not only going to grow to make an impact on your family, but you're going to have that ripple effect. Like there's that separation of intention. And I just remember that struggle, like starting out, because let's face it, now, like relationship marketing is still not topping the Google search charts. Like that's just a fact.
Sure.
But like you said, if you just manage it on a surface level, you're not creating your own special brand. You're really just throwing your hat in the ring with everybody else.
And it's hard, right? It's hard in today's society in general, but it's even harder right now when we're going through something where we have to have sort of a distance from one another, right? Because I can tell you that Emily and I, over the course of, so we founded our business in 2007, we went full-time in 2009, so we're just over the 10-year mark. We founded and succeeded in our business by shaking hands with people, as an analogy, right? We got involved in associations, we went to events, we made sure we were top of mind, and then we did a lot of follow-up. But a lot of that follow-up was typically touch points. We did a marketing campaign a few years ago where we, around Halloween, we did Our Clients Rock campaign, and we created a cute little basket of all things that had rock in it, a pet rock, pop rocks, had a cute little thing, and we dressed up like rock stars, and we went and we delivered them. So that is in my mind, that's like the penultimate of relationship marketing, because it's all about touch point. We identified our top, whatever it was, I think 40 clients, and we spent 3 days just canvassing doubts. Well, if it's not possible, does that mean you just push relationship marketing to the side and say it's just not possible? No, you made the exact point, is you have to put forth that effort. Even if it's in a digital marketplace, you have to share those messages. You have to reach out to those people. You have to have an impact, right? Your word impact is so unbelievably important, because when I talk about the customer journey, one of the things I talk about is one of the biggest goals to creating customer journey and everything we do in business is for them to establish an emotional connection to us, to our business, to our employees, whatever the case may be. Even if you're a company of hundreds of employees, you want to have an emotional connection with not just your customers, but with your audience and your marketplace. And you can do that digitally, right? Don't think that I don't notice, Cassie, that even though I'm new in this space, that when I post something, you're one of the first people. It's like, hey, this is really exciting. Congratulations. Don't think I don't notice that. And I know that that's genuine. It's not like a little likey button, which is cool. Thanks for the like. But when somebody writes a genuine comment, it tells you that you've had an impact on them and that they want to have an impact on you. And it's not something that happens overnight. And I think that's the struggle. You and I can probably talk about the fact that in a world where vanity metrics have sort of become the thing, hey, I posted this photo and I got 4,000 likes. Oh, great. Who are those 4,000 people? Are those 4,000 people engaging with you in any other way? Like, what is the actual metric for that? Because I'll tell you, Emily and I have maybe 1,000 followers on Instagram, and we are a visual brand. And you would think, well, you should have tens of thousands. Well, I'm okay with 1,000 if those 1,000 people are people that are genuinely our fan or follower. And our business has done okay. We've been able to survive very well with that smaller group. And I think that that's because we've always focused on quantity over quality. Nope, the other way around. Quality over quantity. And don't get me wrong, if you have 10,000 followers, that's great. But you just have to dig deeper. Again, that's kind of that theme. We have to dig deeper and find out, what do those actual metrics mean? And I'll take your comment that I know is genuine and from the heart, from somebody that I respect, than 50 likes, for example.
Thank you. And I do. I love seeing you grow and what the messages that you're getting out there. But I want to draw attention to something that you said that some people may not even notice. With the Halloween campaign, you guys centered your clients as the hero. Mm-hmm. With that campaign. Our clients rock. Mm-hmm. And you led with their success being how you defined your success. And to me, that is a really accurate definition of a catalyst. Whereas we are surrounded in the marketplace by people who are like, I am awesome, I rock, I am amazing. Mm-hmm. And and I wanted people to realize that was just a small shift in messaging and
Mm-hmm.
true heartfelt creation, that if we make our clients the hero, like that is the lane for relationship marketing that goes to success,
Mm-hmm.
outcome, testimonials and stories, and referrals.
Yeah, I thank you for making that drawing that connection. So it's something I always struggle with. I think you and I chatted as we prepared for this, and self-promotion is a challenge for me. And at the moment, I'm getting more and more comfortable trying to be the attractive character and trying to be the person that shares, these are the reasons that we've been successful. I shift pronouns a lot, and for the last 10 years, it's been we, because it's my wife and I, and then we've brought on some associate photographers. You met Simon, who's an amazing person, and we love him, and he joined us 5 years ago, and he works with us a great deal now. So the we has always been my pronoun, and I've had to shift to sort of say I in a lot of ways, because I am going to try to be the attractive character, and that's been a challenge. And everything you just said about sort of shifting that has been something that I've always done. So if you go back and scroll through our Instagram, I challenge anyone to find a photo that says, hey, look at this beautiful photo, because it's nothing I would ever put in a caption. And if I did, it's because I did it too early in the morning or something and had my coffee, because I always wanted to say something like, look at this beautiful couple, or look at this amazing production, or look at these excited people. It was always about the content in the photo, because in reality, I want to say that we're, of course, hopefully exceptionally talented in our composition and capture, but we're documenting the efforts, the love, the capabilities of other people. And so when we share those photos, we want to be focusing on that. And I agree with you 100%. If we give more, if we see more in others, then it'll come back. And it does, again, it doesn't come overnight. It's one of those things that you have to be in it for the long game. I told Emily there were times when I felt like, man, I just feel like I'm pouring all this stuff in, and you just can't necessarily pull back an immediate, I did this and then I got this as a result. It's an aggregate type situation. And as it aggregates, all of a sudden, I told Emily, man, we're getting these leads in sort of from out of nowhere, when in actuality, it's just because you planted those seeds and you cultivated them for so long. And then before you know it, you're working really hard to collect it all.
Yeah, I love that. So I know the story of you and Emily, but I would really love to share that with
Sure.
everyone here, because I was thinking back on all of the guests, and I believe you guys are the only couple so far that both run your business together who have been on the podcast. So
Okay.
if we could just sort of like take a quick little detour and just share a little bit about how you guys met, and then also, the vision of your business, because from our time together, it's really easy to see the heart and soul and core of your mission and your business that you created has remained the same, even though the vehicle for revenue generation has changed through the years. The core heart and soul has been what it has been since the beginning.
Sure. I don't know how much time you have, but I could talk about my wife for hours upon hours. So I'm going to try to make this more anecdotal. My wife and I met in the middle of 2006. It's funny because the universe has a way of putting you where you need to be when you don't even know you need to be there. And so one of my best friends in the world that I've known the longest in my life, his father was in town, and we went out for a nice dinner. I was thanking him for something very kind he had done for me. And afterwards he said, well, let's go to the Ghost Bar. And for you, those of you that are young don't know, but that was sort of the luxury watering hole for the W brand. There's a W across the street in Dallas, and it's on the 33rd floor. So it has a pretty view, but it's sort of a velvet rope, high class, luxury kind of space. And I'm more of a, I think, quiet pub going if I'm going to have a cocktail. And so he dragged me over there because he doesn't have one in Houston. And he said, let's go check it out. We get up there. I offer to buy him a beer. I go to the bar, I come back. And as I walk up, I have this moment where I thought, man, this guy is an attractive character. And so I walk up and he's talking to two beautiful young ladies who had just been at a fashion event. Emily Flatfoot is 5'10", with heels on. I think that night she was maybe 6'3" or 6'4". Her friend was the same. She had a fiery red faux hawk styled. And as I hand my friend his cocktail, he looks at Emily and says, "Emily, you haven't met my friend Dawn." And the amount of irony that exists in our meeting is almost incomprehensible, in that I think under normal circumstances, I would most likely have been intimidated by somebody of her stature and her beauty and the way she carries herself. And I think I was in a place in my life where I had just moved to Dallas. I'd just gotten out of a bad relationship. I was kind of just living life. And she'll recount to this day that I came across as very casual, very comfortable. We started talking about photography right away because I was endeavoring upon photography and she had been doing some. And I offered to give her my number. And she very kindly said, "Well, I'll give you mine too." We exchanged messages for a good period of time, never having been able to connect. And then before you know it, we met, we chatted. And instead of sort of talking about business, we fell in love. And we were married 2 years later. 2 years after that, we took our two brands. We both had individual photography brands. And we, as we did when we got married and took the last name, the Mamones, we became the Mamones in a professional, and that was in 2012. So it was really amazing because I believe my definition of love is caring more about the person that you're with than yourself. And therefore nobody in the relationship is worried about themselves. They're constantly. And so you can just exist there. And the same is true with the way we operate our business, in that people joke, say, you're married, you have a business, and you still are married and you alive. Because I think a lot of couples wouldn't be able to be married and work together. And we have this ability to exist in our own lanes, support each other, but we sort of have strength buckets. And so, for example, Emily does a lot of the administration in our business as far as photo editing, quality control, delivering of files, creation of galleries. And I do a lot more of the marketing and sales and sort of the things that she doesn't excel at and doesn't love. And that's sustained us. And it's always been in service to a client. And I'll wrap it up by saying, when we first met, the social marketplace is where we existed. And it was amazing because when I talk about the who you are, Emily was able to bring this unbelievable capability to photograph a young lady and make her look her absolute best on the wedding day. I thought I was good at it. And then I met her and I was like, mind blown, like, you do this from now on. You do all of our bridal sessions. And when it came to sort of the business operation and the day-to-day, that's where I excelled. So when we migrated to corporate America, it was very similar in that Emily has a very congenial way about her. She always interacts exceptionally well with clients. And so they love that feeling. And then on the corporate side, I had this ability to say, well, I've been where you've been. Planning a conference isn't easy. And we can immediately connect in that way. And so it's been really, really fun. I didn't know that I was going to meet the person that was going to be the mother of my daughter and my partner in life, but then also just aligned so well with me about how we would run a business. And so we're going on, I guess it's 13 years now, and I'm not looking back. It's been great.
I love it. I love it. And I don't know if you've ever paused long enough to realize that, but that is like you got her phone number through simple relationship marketing.
I had not thought about it that way, but you're right. Like, we connected and we started chatting. And I remember her saying that she knew that I was genuine when I offered to give her my number rather than asking for hers. And it's, again, what we were talking about, like sometimes the simple thought of the difference between saying, "Hey girl, can I have your number?" and feeling like, "No, I'd rather not." And me genuinely just saying, "Hey, let me give you my number, and I'm gonna have faith in the world that, you want to reach out, you can reach out." So it's remarkable. Sometimes we don't realize what we're doing when we do it. And then we grab a hold of it and we kind of keep doing it.
Yeah, I love it. I love that story. Because, when you look at that through ROI of sales, I mean, the love of your life, your wife, the mother of your child, it's one of those things. And it's all came down to you just genuinely were serving. If I can help you, here's my number, call me. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what's just so beautiful about it. So now with you guys working together,
Mm-hmm.
How are you leveraging this time in your business, and what does the future looks like?
So that's a great question. It's something that I struggle with every day in a good way. It has been a focus of all of my effort. When I started wanting to do this, I'll be perfectly transparent. I started this concept about 5 years ago. I mean, I've always operated under the people first and profit from my very first days in hospitality. I honestly don't even know where it came from, but it's always been that way. I've always lived that life. And so 5 years ago, I thought, I really want to share this message with the world. And I thought, just going to grow it organically. I'm going to see what happens. And then our business started to ramp up. And, that was the business in front of me. And so I really needed to focus on that. And then we got that machine running really, really well about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And then my wife looked at me and said, I'm pregnant, which was the most amazing blessing. And it was so great. We were really excited about it. We just left it up to the universe to decide if and when we were going to have kids. And like I said, the universe sometimes helps you realize where you need to be, because the minute we found out Emily was pregnant and we were having sort of our most successful years was when we really started engaging with Simon. And as you know, you've met Simon on a number of occasions. He's really like the third of us, right? He came to us. He took one of my classes when I was teaching at the community college. And then he reached out a couple years later and he's like, I'm done with this soulless world of finance. I want to start my own business. And so we basically brought him in and said, okay, this is the way we started our business. And he does work on his own brand, but he does a considerable amount of work with us. And so the minute I found out we were pregnant, I was like, all right, buddy, we're about to bring you way more business than you ever thought you'd get from us, because Emily was now going to be a mom and wanted to do that. So I kind of put that on the back burner again, right? The people first and profit was something I continued to live, but not something I was able to teach. And so it was about 2 years ago. I said, I want to ramp this back up again. We've got the business kind of running a little bit quicker, even though we're doing more business than we've ever done. We've streamlined it. And so I started sharing it. And then the more time I spent with folks like you, Cassie, you guys have been an unbelievable motivator for me, because I see the impact you have on others. And that's something I've always wanted. And it was, again, slow and organic right up until last month. At the turn of the year, I spent some time with you folks in the 2 Comma Club X program. And then I spent some folks with you guys in Nashville again with Russell's Funnel Hacking Live. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just find the time to do more of this. And then, so it was kind of fun. The universe again kind of taught me. I had started the YouTube channel in January, and I started working with the content strategist and started asking you all questions, because you're so unbelievably generous with your time and talent. And now I've said, okay, I'm just going to dedicate 100% to this. With live events coming to a standstill, our obligations as a photographer have kind of dwindled until such time that they pick back up again. And I thought, how can I make the most impact? And so I just started doing what I saw you folks doing so well. You guys make it look so easy, so easy. And it's a considerable amount of work, but I basically have said, how did we create the business that we created? How did we survive the downturn in 2008 and 9 and continue to operate a business that was successful and profitable? And I've basically spent 24/7 when I'm awake and lucid, fleshing that out. Not from a perspective of this is how I'm going to run my business, but this is how anybody can run their business. And it's been fun and exciting. And now the goal is to share that message wherever the person is. And so again, learning from you, I realized, okay, if I'm going to do the YouTube channel, I can take the audio from the YouTube and put it on a podcast. I can take the transcript from the video and make it a blog post so you can watch it, listen to it, read it. And ultimately, I want to take the pain points and the friction that people have. Largely, it's probably the wedding, events, hospitality industries, just because that's what I know the most. But these principles really do apply to sort of anybody that's running a business. And even professionals, I have people say, well, I guess this isn't appropriate to me because I work for a company, but that's not entirely true, right? If you work for a big company like Hilton, these principles are still going to work for you because they're going to make you better in the position that you're in. Because just because you're a big cog in a larger machine doesn't mean that you don't have control over how you sell or how you market your property or whatever that is. And so I'm trying to share that content. And then my next step is to create a community. And much like we've talked about, I'm definitely a quality over quantity. I want people that genuinely will be willing to admit that they believe in a people first and profit concept, and want to learn the ways of sort of this relationship marketing, which takes more time, more effort, and sort of a delayed result, but a result that is far more abundant that you could possibly imagine than in another way. So that's the goal, is to just kind of chip away at this ability to share content and get people engaged and have them start this community. And I mean, if I'm being candid, in a perfect world, if I flash forward, it would be a movement. It would literally be a group of people that have said, I get it now. Yeah, we have to watch our bottom line. Yes, we have to look at revenue versus expenses. Yes, all of these things matter, because if not, you can't sustain a business. But you can achieve those goals by focusing on the people and not the profit.
I love it. I love it. And I'm just going to do a little bit of an open loop here, because we align so well on this. And before the crash of all of the social isolation, we were like just laying a little bit of the foundation and planning like a live event around these concepts. And so I'm going to publicly declare and let people know that is coming, like without a doubt. It is coming. When, we don't know. And that is okay. But I love the question that you asked yourself, is how can I make the most impact now? And I think that is the fire that lights us all up. And as we wrap up, I really want to get into, because this is really, really important for a lot of people. We've mentioned the word catalyst a few times within this episode. Can you please share what your definition of catalyst is, just so everyone understands where we're coming from when we talk about this word, and use it as a description, not only like for us internally as people, like at our core characteristic, but the way that we're incorporating it into the mission of our business as well?
Sure. So I came upon this concept by literally pulling at every thread, trying to figure out who I wanted to be when thinking about trying to share this message, right? And so relationship marketers first, because that's what attained the success that we're basically building this new brand on, right? You can build a business and sustain it in a way that will support your family by doing this thing. Well, that's great, but what is my role then in helping this person understand what relationship marketing does, and most importantly, how they do it? And I want to go up a couple thousand feet before I actually give you the definition, because here's the deal. I've had the pleasure of listening to some of the most brilliant minds in the world speak at conferences that they're being paid probably hundreds of thousands of dollars as keynote speakers. And one of the things that I've recognized that most of them have done exceptionally well is they provide inspiration, which is the highest level. Oh my gosh, I can't believe what this person has done. I'm so inspired by them. And then motivation, which means you can do it too. Here's some ideas on how you do it. And then education, which is sort of where the rubber meets the road. If you miss any one of those three things, okay, if somebody's not inspired, then they're not going to be motivated, and then they don't care about the education. And if you remove them, the education is the one that I see becomes the, not only should you be inspired by this, not only can you do it, but this is how. Here's some tools and resources for how you're going to do it. That was sorely lacking when I built my business. I want to say that in a lot of ways I bootstrapped it. And for most people, they look at it and they say, I can't afford a $200 this or $300 that. And I was that guy. I was that guy for years that would just bootstrap it and wouldn't ever look for help because I obviously couldn't afford it. Well, there's a number of things. There's free resources that are available from benevolent and kind people that want to share their knowledge. And then at the next level, there's affordable things. And then there's the do it for you. I have all the money in the world at no time. People need to find what fits their existence right now and harness that, because being a catalyst, myself, you have definitely been my catalyst in a number of different ways. And that's the ability to achieve a goal faster and with less work. In the chemistry world, that's what a catalyst does. You have a chemical reaction that's going to take a certain period of time and a certain amount of work. And they identify that if we add this other element and we put it in there, then we're going to achieve the same goal with less work and in a faster period of time. And if I could go back to the earlier me in 2007, 8, 9, 10, whatever it was, when I was really formulating what my business was going to look like and how I was going to do it, I probably would have said, hey, Don, carve out this time or this money to listen to this person so that you can, instead of taking 6 months to get here, you might be able to do it in 3. And I want to just argue the other side of that. There's a lot of people that will look at that and maybe be like, well, that's just cutting corners. Sometimes you have to put in the hard work. Absolutely true. We're not talking about cutting corners here. We're literally trying to introduce into this chemical reaction of the creation and the growth and the amplification of your business. We're introducing knowledge and experience and things and resources that have made others be successful. Leverage that to achieve a goal faster and with less work.
I love it. And I will just add just a little mini extra definition is I feel like, and this is, we've had this discussion, Jorge and I talk about it all the time, is that when you're in this role, that there is an additional responsibility of leaders to create leaders, not dependency. And that's what I love about what you're doing as well, is because not only is there a catalyst to achieve a result at an accelerated pace, but it's also it's almost like you're teaching a little kid to ride a bike, and you're going to help them with that momentum and balance, but you're going to let go. And when you let go, they are going to keep going. And not only are they going to keep going, but you're going to have done that work in a manner so that when they keep going, they have that same spirit of being a catalyst and being a leader and being an amplifier in their soul, that this is perpetual. Like it doesn't end, because with each person touched, they take on that same responsibility to carry the torch and pass it on.
And if you really want to, we can just go mind blown. One of the things I talk about is from a position of someone becoming your champion, it's exponential growth. And what happens is if that one person loves you and adores you and tells one person, and that person tells one person, and that person tells 2 people, and those people, the exponential growth. And so I am so in love with what you just said, that if we are teaching this sort of catalyst way, and each of those people become a catalyst, and they touch 2 people that each become catalysts, before you know it, we're gonna have an entire, as we said, movement of people that have found success in their lives and want to go forward and say, I found success. Here's how you can find success. I mean, talk about a rising tide.
Totally. And that's the only thing that I want to be a part of. Like we all have choices out there. There's a lot of noises in the world. And this is the lane that I choose to focus on, to breathe life into, and to contribute with like every dying breath, like to my last breath. I will speak of paying it forward, amplifying your impact, and just, what can we do to help it pave the way for somebody else? So thank you for joining us, Dawn. I love you. I love your heart. I love your family. Please give Emily a hug for me. Kiss your sweet little girl. I'm going to give you the last word. Like where can they keep up with you? Where can they find you? And yeah, all of that good stuff. And just so you guys know, like if you are part of the Amplify My Impact group, like Dawn hangs out in there, and I love his contribution in there. And like, that's what I love about him. And he's not just, there's strategies and tactics where it's like, use this as a marketing opportunity. And you are contributing everywhere you go. You're not just, like you said, like that little check. Okay, I checked, I participated. Now they can come with me. Like this is an alignment so much more than it is just a strategy. And I love you for that. But I want to give you time to share, because I love and adore you. And I love all of the momentum that you're in and the lives that you're going to touch.
Well, thank you for everything. Your benevolence with your time and talent has been, when I ask you and Jorge a question, not only do I get a thorough response that I immediately can, it's literally almost instantaneous. So your attention to the people that you love and care about is clear. The love and affection for you is entirely mutual, Cassie, from the minute we started chatting and we started digging deeper and finding out about this unbelievable and has been, I'll use the word again, somewhat overwhelming, because I'm not used to it. It's not always the way. So thank you for walking the talk. I very much enjoy your crowd. When I sat in on your call last Friday or 2 Fridays ago, and talk about assembling an amazing group of professionals and business owners and entrepreneurs. So Thank you. It's truly humbling to me. People want to follow along. This is a self-promotion part I'm terrible at. If people want to follow along, the hub of that is probably my website, which is pretty easy, donmamone.com. You can find the links to the YouTube and the podcast and the blog there. I'm going to be sharing some resources. What I'm trying to do is to get everybody kind of into the community of it first, because to your point, I do move around on Facebook a lot, and that's because I love to interact with folks. And with the inability to interact with folks in the real world, I've taken to social media. I think one of my favorite things about this whole last week, all 7 days, all 24 hours a day, was our feed story that you and I did, our little soap opera. We kept hitting back and forth with our GIFs online and created a story from them. That was unbelievably fun. So people, if you're looking for me, you're going to find me. But if you want to go intentionally, donmamone.com has links to everything you'd want to find.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, guys, we will see you next time and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I hope you've received value, encouragement, and exactly what you need to help keep you in momentum to grow and impact the world around you. Big or small, we all make a difference. Thanks also for subscribing, downloading, and leaving a review. This helps us reach others who need this message in their life. If you know anyone who would benefit from this podcast, please share so you and I can help more people boldly step into purpose. It is my heart's mission to help and encourage others. My internal belief that a rising tide lifts all ships. So much of what we talk about on the podcast is leading with value and building relationships through service. So we've created a collection of resources for you to continue growing, whether you are just getting started or ready to scale your business. Visit amplifymyimpact.com for show notes, downloads, programs, and more information about how to directly work with our team to amplify your impact and change the world.